Welcome to the Cross Digital Podcast, where journalism meets marketing, and you learn how to hug the storms in your life. And now, here's your host, Dennis Washington.
And welcome to the Cross Digital Podcast. I'm Dennis Washington. Hope you're having a great day today. Got a really great interview for you. Really excited about this one. A little different maybe than what we've done in the past, but it's something I think will be really, really useful to you. Ran across this guy just a few days ago while doing some case study research on brand journalism. His name is David Spark. He is a tech journalist. He's been actually working in journalism about as long as I have, but he made his jump out of journalism several years ago, about a little over 7 years ago, and now does brand journalism. He owns his own company called Spark Media Solutions out in the San Francisco area. It's a brand journalism firm. What's unique about him, though, he's also a stand-up comedian. Was very funny guy, and uses a lot of that in his work with his clients, and we'll get into some of that during the interview today. Some of the other things he's done, he's been a tour guide in the city of San Francisco before, comedy writer, family with kids, and just really neat guy. He does a lot of work for clients, and really what he does is what I'm coaching people to do as well, is this whole idea of brand journalism. It's not about trying to sell, but it's about trying to be useful, trying to influence people with content, not wasting a lot of time overthinking things, but just being really in the moment, in real time, and getting out and making it happen. One of the things we talk about in this interview is the value of speed. And anybody that's worked in the media business understands this, but businesses are really starting to learn this in the last few months and the last couple of years, the value of speed, of moving quickly, which is very unusual and not something that a lot of businesses are used to as well. We also talk in this interview today about the fear of volume, the fear of trying and just getting over that hump, and comparing this whole concept of content marketing with brand journalism. There's some good comparisons there. So a lot of great stuff. Could sit here and keep talking about it, but I think you really enjoyed this interview. So let's get right to it, the interview here with David Spark. And I'm joined now with David Spark, owner of Spark Media Solutions, a brand journalism company. David, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me on.
So tell folks a little bit, I just got through doing a little bit of an introduction about you, but kind of give people an idea of who you are and how you've gotten to where you are now.
So simply, I am about an 18, 19-year veteran tech journalist. I've been in more than 40 media outlets, print, radio, TV, online. I also worked in advertising for many years, and I also used to work as a stand-up comic and a comedy writer for Second City in Chicago. I pretty much merged all the three of them to start this business, which has been running about 7.5 years now. The big opportunity I saw, I was writing for a tech publication called eWeek, which is still out. It's kind of big, kind of a hardcore IT pub. And I used to write these case studies for them. And I would constantly get pitched by PR people about, oh, this is a really great story. You should write about this. And they were often right. But I was only given 1 or 2 assignments a month. And so I said, well, I already kind of have my assignment this month. I don't have any more assignments, but that's a really good story. You should write it yourself. And they wouldn't. And in fact, it never dawned on them to write it themselves. And then I realized, hey, wait a second. Here's an opportunity. I should be writing these for them. Because they just think, no, the way I do this is I just harass the journalist at eWeek magazine and he does it, or I pray, fingers crossed, it'll get done. And that's my whole argument for brand journalism versus just the traditional PR bug the journalist to get them to write something for you. You know, that is always a gamble. I mean, you're just, no matter how good you are, it's always a gamble. You know what's not a gamble? Just publishing it yourself. It's like you put the money into it, it goes out live, you actually see the product, and then everybody sees it. Now, granted, eWeek has better distribution, but there are ways to even publish and get that eWeek distribution too.
Absolutely. You bring up the idea about taking matters into your own hands and publishing the content yourself. And, I think that is such a, for us as journalists, we practice that daily for so many years. It's second nature to us. But I correct me if I'm wrong, but do businesses still kind of find it odd that they now have the ability to publish content themselves as a media company would?
It's not that they find it odd. They don't operate like a media company. I mean, you were in television. You know the speed that you have to operate.
Right, right.
I mean, and now you work with companies. They don't quite operate at that same speed, do they?
Oh, no, they don't. No, they don't.
Not at all. And you try to train them. You try to get them up to speed, but the number of checks and balances and all this stuff. And we try to also stress upon them the value of speed. Like, they keep talking, oh, we want something viral. We want everyone to pay attention to it. I go, well, you have to get your butts in order. So when this video is done, you look at it, you approve it, we publish it. Not, oh, let's have 20 people go through it and have 12 meetings about it and let's nitpick everything. And, oh, that word isn't in line with our messaging on this product over here. And like,
Yeah, no, it's so, and that was probably, I remember last year when I stepped out of broadcasting and got into brand journalism, and one of the big things I learned, I knew business world moved a little slower, but I was surprised at how much slower it traditionally moves than the media industry. When you look at the last 7.5 years for you with your company, the teaching brand journalism and explaining people the concept of what brand journalism is, how has that progression happened? I mean, I'm sure 7 years ago there weren't nearly as many people that understood what brand journalism was as there are now. Do you find that a lot more people understand it, or what are the struggles now for you?
I think a lot of I use the term brand journalism personally because I am a journalist.
Yeah.
I behave like a journalist. And the person who pays me are brands.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to call it brand journalism.
Right.
The reason I don't like the term content marketing, but I use it begrudgingly for search engine purposes and for understanding purposes, because when I say brand journalism, most people don't get it.
Right.
Is content marketing is kind of a weaselly term. To say, here's some content, but I don't know if you know this. I'm really marketing to you, Dennis. I mean, it's like nobody kind of likes it. That's not a good relationship to have, really.
Yeah.
But I'm a journalist, and there's a brand that I'm doing the journalism for. Yes, we're all on the same page. This is content from Microsoft, so it's going to have a Microsoft bet. That's understood.
Right.
But if I'm a Microsoft consumer and I like Microsoft products, or I'm trying to learn more about Microsoft, then this is valuable content, and I appreciate that it's coming from Microsoft.
Right.
So, I mean, it's all about the viewpoint and also all about disclosure. I was doing it for many years prior to starting my business because I was doing it I had started the custom publishing division at an ad agency 3 years prior, and that's also why I left. I mean, I was like doing this, and I realized, nobody wanted traditional advertising and wanted this. But,
Right.
Today, everyone's kind of on board on content marketing. In fact, like everyone's like marketing budgets are going towards that. Which is great for us. But I will tell you the big shock and surprise to me. So 2012 was our biggest year. It was huge. And then we saw a dip at the very tail end of 2013. And the reason is, and this is what really, it just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks, is every single one of my clients and every single one of my past clients in 2012 and prior did not have a content marketing person, let alone an entire team. By the end of 2013, all my current clients and all my past clients not only had a content marketing person, but a content marketing team.
Wow.
So what that meant is back in 2012, it was the world's easiest sell. I mean, I could just, hey, you need this service. We need it. We don't have anybody. We hire you. Now, and we're doing fine, but it's just a harder sell where, yes, you have a content marketing team. Yes, they're doing all this stuff, but we're doing it better. In fact, I literally just had a meeting about this yesterday. They have an enormous content marketing team, but we really need to sell that we do it well, or we do we do it better, but we do a very unique service that they want.
Yeah.
And so, or I was chastised by using the term very unique yesterday. They said, it's not very unique. And by the way, the woman didn't know any of my content at all. I'm like, fine, it's unique, whatever.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But these two things. So business still going well. It's just a harder sell because before it was, oh, we've got budget for this. It's, oh no, we already spent the budget on the internal people. You got to we got to find some other budget for you, kind of a thing. So, I mean, it's just a different sell now than it was just a few years ago.
And it makes sense. I mean, I think with the explosion of the term, as you point out, content marketing and how it's, really taken off, especially in the last 2 years, and brand journalism kind of coming up under that. The components of brand journalism, though, as you pointed out, not as many people understand that. So with your clients that do get it, what is it about brand journalism and what you offer them that they're still missing on? I mean, is it the written content? Is it video? Is it podcasting? What?
It's, a lot of it is just sort of fear of putting yourself out there in a written form, and also the fear of not being able to produce the volume that's necessary.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause, that's the thing. I mean, some people come at it, oh, we'll just put one piece of content up there and we'll see how it does. Yeah, like you remember that one magazine that issued that one issue that only had one article in it and did really well? You remember that magazine?
Yeah, we all do, right?
Did unbelievably well. So, I mean, like, if we've never seen that happen in the past before, why do you think it's going to work for you?
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like the reason blogs have more than one post on them. Or websites have more than one page. I mean, you've got to have a lot of content there. So no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was talking, and one of the reasons we were mentioning before we started the interview here was when we were talking, one of the things I came along when I was doing some case study research and discovered you was the way that you influence people with content. And as with your comedian background, it's not necessarily the way the stuffy traditional journalist might do it, but more of a humorous way of having fun with people. Tell me a little bit about your approach to, especially from a video point of view, of creating content as a way to influence people.
So there's two ways we do it. So let me hold the comedy stuff to the side.
Okay. All right.
The core, I'll come to that. The core of what we've realized, and almost all of our clients are B2B tech clients. We actually just started to make a move into the legal field. We actually have a legal client now, but we, just because of my backgrounds in tech, I'm in the Bay Area. Actually, I'm literally a mile and a half from YouTube's main offices. Where we are right here. In the tech world, especially in the security space, because we have clients in the security space, there is a lot of hesitation to trust vendors. And one of the greatest ways to build that trust is to start to build relationships with the influencers in the space. And one of the things that we have figured that works really, really well is going to conferences and trade shows where there are influencers, where they're already amassed, and physically just walking up to someone and saying, hey, you're here at this conference about security. Can I ask you a quick question on camera about this security issue? And so we talk for just 2-3 minutes on camera, and not necessarily funny, but just whatever the topic is. And now I've got your face, Dennis, talking, and you're an expert in security, and I've got a microphone flag here. Let me grab some of my clients. There we go. We have Juniper, Tripwire, Cloudera. I mean, I got a whole drawer full of them here, and those are what goes onto the microphone,
right?
And that's underneath your chin right now. And so even though you're not saying what's so great about this company that I've got the mic flag underneath, the mere fact that I have your wisdom and your knowledge, and you've agreed to do an interview with me, and I've got my brand underneath your chin, and then I'm going to put a bug in the corner as well. It's kind of an implied endorsement. And then it's also a great relationship builder, Dennis, because I'm going to follow up with you and say, hey, Dennis, here's that awesome video I shot of you. Here it is live. Yeah. I mean, look, it's the same thing you're doing with me right here. I mean, when this is done, you're going to give it to me, and I am inevitably going to share it with my listeners, my viewers, my readers, and whatnot.
Right.
So now you have access to my audience as well. Yeah. And this is a very smart move by you for building your brand, because the people who are interested in brand journalism follow me. So therefore they'll find out about you as well at the same time. Yeah. So, I mean, you're already doing this for them as well. Anyway, so we have found, but this is a great relationship builder. It's so much easier to walk up to someone and say, can I interview you for my podcast, rather than, hey, David, can I sell you on my brand journalism services right now?
When you put it like that, I mean, why wouldn't anybody jump at it
Yeah,
that way?
exactly.
Well,
So,
the point I think you make is really well, and there's been a lot of talk I've read for years about the B2B and B2C and all, but it's really about just people to people. I mean, even in a B2B situation, you've got a business full of people trying to communicate with another business full of people and finding some common ground there. And in the end, we're just human beings trying to connect to each other.
well, you talk to any salesman, they say people sell to people. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
So you just got to understand that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so when you take that step of creating that opportunity, with what the content that you build there, it comes natural to you and to me. I mean, the whole man on the street idea basically is what you're coming after there. But when you come back to a business, to a brand, to someone that's trying to build their brand, and you say, "Here's the magic solution. Here's the video I produced for you." What kind of reaction do you get? Do they generally embrace it, or are they very worried? I mean, what's from the brand point of view? How do they respond to that?
Hopefully they always embrace it. I mean, look, the thing is, they love it when they go, "Oh my God, you got that guy on camera and you got her on camera." That's always a nice reaction because we're really aggressive about getting our interviews.
Yeah.
And then when we make a funny video, and those are, and not all of them, but we do these what we call man on the street videos, where we'll go to a trade show and just literally just ask one question to 30, 40 people, and then cut it down to be a super quick fun
Sure.
piece. And they can be silly videos, or they can, be straight up like, "Hey, what do you think about issue X?" And
Right.
usually we try to stay in step with whatever the subjects are at the conference. We don't try to throw curveballs.
Right.
Although actually with our funny videos, that's kind of the point of the funny ones, is to catch people off guard and get a kind of a silly, funny reaction out of them.
Yeah.
But that's they're usually, I mean, they're hiring us, and they're usually happy with this stuff. Every now and then, like we had one situation with a client where, and this was my mistake, I didn't ask them, "What do you want to see when this is done?" Because normally we just go shoot the videos. The client says, "Oh, we love it. It's great." But whenever we're doing something in super fast turnaround, they want to go through an edit process and see it, and because their brand's on, and all understandable. And we had a situation, we made 5 videos for a client, and one of the videos we didn't publish because they go, "Oh, this isn't what we wanted." And I'm like, "Well, it'd be nice if you told me what you wanted." I mean, like, this is what I shot, this is what came out, But then again, I realized this was my fault, because I didn't ask them, "What do you want? Like, when this is done, what is this going to look like?" It goes, "Oh, we want people talking about this." I go, "Okay, I can kind of skew towards that. All right."
Okay.
So, I mean, I take blame for this as well. It's everything's a learning experience.
No, it's true. It's true. In the kind of along that line, the next progression, when a client, obviously they're going to look at something and say, "Yes, I like that," and then they will somehow measure success out of it. It's kind of a two-parted question. How do your clients measure success out of your brand journalism efforts, and how do you measure success out of your brand journalism efforts?
Excellent question. Well, view counts on videos, just watches and stuff like that. But you know what? I actually think one of the greatest successes, especially when we're doing the influencer efforts, is how many rock stars we get on camera.
Yeah.
Not the number of view counts of it. It's like, how many industry rock stars do we get on camera and then publish on your site?
Yeah.
I mean, because that becomes huge. And we're big fans of that. Just getting rocked, because then that becomes a relationship. Now you have a relationship with these 10, 15, 20 rock stars in the industry.
Yeah.
And I would also point out that's actually the demarcation line of our clients who sort of really succeed and fail with our content. Is the clients that really succeed are the ones after I shoot the interview with Dennis and I publish the interview with Dennis, they follow up with Dennis.
Yeah.
The clients of mine that don't follow up don't succeed.
Yeah.
And I stress upon them, and I give them like I have all the contact information. I go, "Here's the email for Dennis. Call him, contact him, let him know the video's up.
Right.
Talk about it." And then, because that becomes just a great entree to then going, "Hey, Dennis, I'd love to tell you about our products."
Right. Yeah. No, and it totally makes sense. It reminds me, I'd read something just the other day. I forget which company had done some case study research about Facebook engagement, the drop in organic reach, blah, 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 blah. But how Harley Davidson has kind of stepped away from that and is seeing growth year to year in that. And one of the principles that they pointed out in the research is Harley Davidson's engagement of rock stars like Kid Rock and ZZ Top. And I mean,
those are literal rock stars.
Literally, yeah. But they fit their brand, they fit their target audience. And I think that's what you've kind of alluded to there in your case is the rock stars of your clients that people that identify with your clients, they're rock stars. If you can get them on camera and connect that audience together, then the magic happens, right?
Well, a lot of things happen there. So, a big key thing is volume. It's great to get 2 or 3 rock stars on camera. Everyone takes notice when you get 20. Yeah. And that's one of the things that we always aim for. It's like, no, let's not get 2 or 3. Let's get 20. Let's get 20 on camera interviewing. And then everyone's like, oh my God, they're friggin' connected to everybody. And then the other thing is you get 20, each of the 20 knows the other 19. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so honored to be in this group of the 20. Oh my God, what? You mean that company put us together? Whoa, so that's the reaction you want from the 20 and from the crowd. And that is something that's like, you know what? All my clients get it. The ones that haven't bought that service yet, I guess are afraid to pull the trigger on it because it's like, well, maybe we need our PR person connecting with them and not a cameraman. And I'm like, well, no, and that's one of the services we offer. Say, no, shadow us when we go shoot. Like, bring your PR person with us, shadow us. So when we meet them and interview them, you'll meet them as well.
Right. Absolutely. I know we're running close on time here. One of the things I wanted to touch on real quick, it's something that as journalists, I mean, we all dealt with over the years in some form or fashion, breaking news. And I know it's different in the business world because they're not trying to get breaking news on and beat other competitive TV stations or newspapers or whatever the case may be. Having said that, every business at some point has a crisis to deal with and has to communicate it. Do you find that the clients that you deal with are prepared to deal with the crises that you know that they will face at some point, or are they just not prepared?
So if they have a crisis management team in place, which that's usually handled by PR, then yes, they are prepared for that kind of stuff. And I remember we didn't do this, but for IBM, it's common for Larry Ellison, the CEO of Oracle, right, to maybe his title's technically chairman. I don't know. Anyways, it's common for him to like pick a big company and kind of trash them. He's very boastful guy and trash. And so although we didn't have to do it, we knew that this behavior happened with Larry, and that if he said something nasty about IBM, we were going to produce some content sort of in response to that.
Right. Yeah.
Luckily, he didn't when we did that. IBM being our client at the time.
Yeah.
But then there was the other thing is we did something for. You're right about the fact that tech news doesn't break, and this was a big issue. I was with ZDTV and Tech TV, which were these 24-hour cable television networks, and this was the thing that kind of always drove me nuts about tech news. It never breaks. Right. It's as scheduled gets. I mean, not true. It sometimes breaks, but almost never. I mean, it's always released. It's all programmed and released. It's at a trade show. Some big company's making a big announcement. Every now and then, there's like an outage that happens or a virus that spreads or something like that. But the overwhelming majority of tech news does not break.
Yeah.
But with that said, you can program a lot of stuff in sort of real time and go fast. So I'll give you a perfect example of it. One of our new clients, a company called Juniper Networks, big tech company, their number one competitor is Cisco. So Cisco has a big conference called Cisco Live, which just here. It goes on for almost a full week. So we just went on the floor, Juniper, and we shot interviews with people talking about just general stuff. And then we did kind of a directly competitive video where we asked people, what do you think of Cisco? What do you think of Juniper? And we got people to talk nasty about Cisco on the Cisco Live floor and talk positively about Juniper on the Cisco. And the client loved that. They loved it. And so we published that video, and then they threw a lot of ad dollars behind it, and we got a ton of views. I mean, that video got like 100,000 views. It's great.
That's fantastic, and that's really to me. That's just taking that, instead of waiting for something negative to happen, that's creating some positive attention for yourself, and that's really
well.
Really
but the big thing was we shot it, edited it, turned it around the next day.
Right.
So it could be published while Cisco Live was going on, and then they bought ads, I'm assuming, against the term Cisco and Cisco Live, and that did really well.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We're running close on time here. I know you've got some other commitments. Tell folks a little bit about what you've got working and what you've got planned coming up in the next few months.
Well, it's nothing that exciting right now, but I'll be. I'm just writing some articles for IDG, their big tech publisher. The Dimension Data is the sponsor of that. But actually, I would just point people to sparkmediasolutions.com. Actually, if you want to know more about making funny man on the street videos, there is an article right on my front page. It's below, like there's a video at the top of the screen. It's right below that video. Okay. So go check that out. That's what I would say. It's just take a look at our stuff, poke around. I have a podcast as well called The Teardown Show. So please listen to that. In fact, we'll be recording that later today.
Okay. I'll make sure to put it in the show notes at crossdig.com as well, so folks can find that there to the links.
Yeah.
And
teardownshow.com.
Okay. Teardown.
And then sparkmediasolutions.com.
Okay.
The website. And then there's the blog, but everything's linkable from the site.
Sure. One last question.
Sure.
If you had to have one word to describe yourself, what would it be?
One word to describe myself.
Sorry, I didn't prep you on this one.
I didn't. And let me ask you, when you ask this question, how many people stick to one word?
Mostly never. No.
Mostly never. That's what I knew. I knew that. Because I've played this game. I've done this trick where I'll ask people, hey, in 3 words or less, tell me X. And I've done a video like that. And some people keep to 3 words. 1 word is hard. I think you should expand it to 3 words.
Okay. All right. Let's go with 3
So with
then.
that said, 3 words. I would say professional silliness.
It works. That works.
There you go.
I think that fits. David Spark, appreciate your time today. Thanks so much, and good luck on your work as well.
Thank you.
And again, that was David Spark with Spark Media Solutions. A great interview. We ended up chatting for another 10 minutes after we got done recording about a variety of things on and off topic. But really, really nice to meet him. And what he preaches a lot of the things that you and I have been talking about in our weekly pep talk. And in these podcasts as well, just this whole idea of influencing people with content. And we're not talking about sales content. This whole idea of just trying to help people and trying to influence people with honest communications and just getting in front of people and talking to them and turning that content around quickly. That whole value of speed and the fear of volume, that fear that a lot of businesses have of just actually stepping in and trying something new. It's new to them. It's old hat to journalists like me and to David. So a lot of things that we bring to the table that we know for a fact will help businesses, especially with the internet now, where you're not relying on a traditional media company to publish content about your industry. You can do that yourself. So again, my thanks to David Spark for the interview today. I will have links to his website, his podcast, in the show notes at crossdig.com. You can also follow David Spark on Twitter at @DSpark. And again, my thanks to David and Spark Media Solutions for all the work that they do in the brand journalism area. That's it for this edition of the Cross Digital Podcast. I'm Dennis Washington. Have a great day.